I had to be everything to everyone. I had to promote as hard as I trained. And because I did that, that's why we got as far as we are today.
What's up, everyone? Shaquille Mahjoudi here for CBS Sports, and you know who this is. She is a UFC champion, WWE champion, author, screenwriter, movie star. The list goes on, and she breaks arms as often as I break under pressure. Ronda Rousey, how's it going?
Oh, it's fantastic. Thank you for the introduction.
Thank you. I got nothing on Mauro Ronaldo, but I work with what I got. How's it going?
Good. I'm, just enjoying retirement. It's pretty awesome.
Well, your retirement seems to still be full of work. Next up on the many list of things you got going on, Expecting the Unexpected, the graphic novel. There's the Kickstarter campaign launching July 25th. Now, I'm reading the sort of synopsis for this, and while it is a work of fiction, very clearly there are elements pulled from your real life. Can you kind of tell me about some of the real life experiences you sourced into this graphic novel?
Well, it's very autobiographical
Hmm.
in a way. It's the first thing that I ever wrote. It's what got me into writing, actually, besides my memoirs, writing creatively.
Hmm.
And I guess I was trying to think because originally I was trying to write myself like a part, So I was like, well, no one brought Rocky to Sylvester Stallone. He went and wrote that. So like, I'm gonna write something. I'm gonna write a part that no one could play better than me. And I ended up writing a story that no one could have written except for me. And it was very much like it was right when me and my husband are trying to get pregnant the first time. And I guess it was like delving into the dilemma of bringing a child into a hostile world. And, I was getting pregnant during COVID and all this stuff. And it's a crazy act of optimism having a kid and bringing them into the
Yeah.
world, and believing that you can guide them through all of this that's going on. And yeah, I ended up writing like a martial arts romantic comedy that I don't think is really two genres that have really been meshed before, but it was something that was inside of me as a martial artist and hopeless romantic. And it's very much, if you read it, it's me and my husband and our relationship, but taken to the nth degree. Like, what is more difficult than trying to have a baby and no one's helping you? Oh, trying to have a baby and everyone's trying to kill you, and it's just but taking, not taking itself too seriously at all, and doing a lot of it with a laugh and a wink and a cute little love story.
And, like some world-class people behind you helping this, people involved with Marvel at a high level. Regarding the Kickstarter, I mean, I feel like this is a cool opportunity to fans to sort of get involved. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the ways in which fans can contribute and sort of what comes with that?
Well, I'm not supposed we're going to be releasing some things as the campaign goes on. So, we're going to be offering like editions that you won't be able to get anywhere outside of Kickstarter. We're going to have different covers done by, different extremely famous artists, and you'll also be able to get drawn in as an assassin into the book itself.
Ooh.
And many other things that if you are really into comics, if you're really into martial arts, if you're really into me, if you're really into Mike Diodato, if you're really into like some of these artists, people are going to really be really happy with what they get out of it. And since I'm a little bit of a closet comic book nerd, I would totally support this if I could. And I'm really excited for people that are really just into graphic novels to see it, because fight choreography in comics
Hmm.
has not been done in this way before. You don't really see like grappling sequences and stuff like that. It's a lot of punch kick energy beam, which I love Dragon Ball Z more than anyone, but I'm just saying that like it's in the medium there, the action has been kind of limited in how it's
Hmm.
been shown. And so all the action that we've done in this, I choreographed it, I performed it, and I taped it for Mike Diodato, who's also a martial artist, and understand how bodies move and everything like that, how to take that and translate it into this medium. And it's been absolutely incredible watching it come together. And I've, we've all been involved. Me, Mike Deodato, and Axel Alonso, who was the formerly the Marvel editor-in-chief before he went off and opened this publishing company himself. And it's all of our little labor of love and brainchild. And it's really been cool watching it come together one panel and page at a time.
You mentioned choreographing it. How much are you training these days? I mean, obviously we're retiring. I'm not trying to like allude to a comeback or something, but in terms of your relationship with martial arts, how much are you still kind of getting out there and just working on the stuff that brought you into it?
I'm actually like teaching a little bit.
Nice.
I have one student. But my student Ricky Liddell, actually he was cornering against me when I was fighting, but he was my husband's coach for a while, and now he trains the Navy SEALs. So I like to say by proxy I train the Navy SEALs now, and that's what I do in my free time. But yeah, I Ricky wanted me to train him in judo, and then he like comes and sometimes brings friends of his and stuff like that. So I've really started to fall in love with teaching. And because when you're a fighter, it's like, ooh, this is something genius, this is awesome, this is going
Hmm.
in my pocket, and I will tell no one until I catch somebody with it. And so then it's kind of like a different time in my life where I'm really excited to like share these things and teach. And me and my husband are when our boys graduate from high school in a couple years, we want to move to Hawaii and open a little dojo and have all the local kids come and train for free. And so that's like something I'd be excited to do, like more in the future, of like keeping myself active and doing it, because I still love martial arts and everything like that. But I'm not gonna go like spar, I'm not gonna get like hit in the head for fun. But it's obviously not good for me to continue to do that. But I still really miss it. And so I think there's ways that I can continue to be part of it that isn't actively like, fighting and training in the way that I did. When I say training, I'm usually like training until I can taste blood in my lungs. And
Yes.
that's, I need to like realize that there's a medium there. You don't need to like go all the way to like, I'm breathing blood. It could be just having fun and teaching and rolling around.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I imagine it's harder to try and strike that balance when you're actively competing, but I'm glad that it's still a big part of your life. Um, where am I? Oh yeah, so it's been so nice to hear from you now that the WWE career was wrapped up, because as you've explained in the past, and we'll get into it a bit, but especially as it pertains to your concussions, like there was sort of a need to be tight-lipped and careful about what you put out there. How freeing has the experience been for you now that you've transitioned out of athletics to be able to just sort of open up more about your career and your time as an active performer?
Well, I mean, I don't like go on media and open up about things. It's like, oh, let me relax. Let me have myself a nice relaxing day and go on the record about some stuff. But mostly my way of relaxing is like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go like hang out on the ranch with my cows and like think about my comic book and not have to be focused on the next event or the next competition or the next big thing that's like looming in my future. And instead it's like I'm not waking up and being like, okay, this is all the training I gotta do, this is all the media I gotta do, this is all the stuff I have to
Hmm.
do for today. And instead waking up and being like, what do I want to do today? Oh, there's a baby jumping on my head. It's all of what she wants to do.
There's something that you said that, man, like I was kind of bummed to hear about, and that's that you feel like if you were to go to a UFC event right now, you'd be booed. Now, as I told you beforehand, before I got into media, I was around the time of your UFC career, I was exclusively a fan. And I can only speak for myself, but I don't feel that way. And I hope we can get to a place where if my inclination is right that you can walk in there and be cheered, what, if anything, needs to happen for you to maybe warm up to the idea of going to a show and sitting down cage side? Because I think you'd be surprised by the warm reaction you'd get.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, it's just not one of those things that like I don't really want to go to a stadium full of people for
Hmm.
fun. I'd rather like be out and like, on my farm or like on the beach or something else like that. I think I'll just have to have like a reason to go. But I don't know if my kids end up fighting or something like that, or someone that I end up coaching, ends up fighting, I would go. But I don't know. It's just like I don't know, it's like not really like my scene anymore. When I was
Totally.
like younger, I wanted to like put on a hot dress and like go to the fights and like hang out with everybody. And now I'm just like kind of like an old lady that just wants to like sit home and like sip tea. I don't know. It's I and plus I wouldn't want to go just to like, ooh, I wonder how people are gonna react to me, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I would want to have like a reason to go or something. But we'll see. I'll play it by ear, but man, I if my kids want to fight, they would end up being like absolutely incredible. So that's kind of how my mom got dragged back into judo and stuff like that. Like she quit judo and then she never went to a tournament again. And then I got into it and then
Yeah.
she was very much involved in it again. And so like if my kids or if like my kids from my dojo like end up getting into it, then I would have a reason.
Since you mentioned your mom, what's going on through a young Ronda Rousey's mind when she accidentally breaks her mom's wrist at practice?
I didn't know. She didn't even react. My mom was such a badass.
That's
Like
dope.
years later, I was like, "Mom, why don't we like do Rondora anymore?" She's like, "Oh yeah, you broke my wrist a couple of years ago." I'm like, "What?" That's how much of a badass she is. That's the matriarchal lineage of martial arts that I hail from. Is my mom would break her wrist and you would never know.
It's chill.
But oh my God, my baby was like, I took her to the aquarium the other day and she was flailing around. She like literally threw my shoulder out. I was like, well, what kind of like, what have I created? This baby is so strong and explosive. Like, somebody put my shoulder back in. But it's I'm excited. Who cares? They might not even want to fight. They might end up wanting to play the flute or whatever. But they definitely have it in them, and it'd be
How
kind of
would you
cool
feel
to
if the
keep the
kids
family
fought?
armbar going. What's that?
Since you brought it up a couple times, how would you feel if the kids fought or wanted to pursue that line of work?
I mean, if they wanted to, I would do everything that I could to make sure that they're as great as possible, but I would never like push them towards it. You can't make somebody fight. It's something that is inside of you that you can't help. And so I'll make sure they know how to fight because it's a survival skill and I think it builds like a lot of discipline and like, it's very hi babe. It's very what's it called, character developing and all of that, but whether or not they want to compete, it's up to them.
Just a couple more things on the MMA end before we start moving on to other stuff. Um, you put out during one of these podcast appearances, you mentioned sort of feeling vilified by the media, and as someone who sees the clickbait headlines every day, I am not surprised to hear you feel that way. As a fan, and you mentioned sort of the concussions leading you to be careful about what you say and how often you appear. It almost felt like, at least from my perspective, that there wasn't a real chance for fans to get closure because it felt like you left so suddenly for greener pastures. I am wondering if the concussions weren't an issue, is there anything you would have done differently in the way that you and fans communicated with each other as you made that transition out? Not that you owe them anything necessarily, but if circumstances were more, open to you.
Well, I mean, if the concussions were to issue, things would have, happened completely differently.
Yeah.
And you know, um, cumulative neurological injury is something that people just don't talk about in MMA, which is something that also everybody is dealing with at a different pace. And I started dealing with it, at 6 years old. I started getting concussions much earlier on, and in swimming, in swimming, like, you crack heads into kids doing backstroke the other direction, or hit the wall doing the backstroke, and then started doing judo as a young age, and just kept getting concussions regularly, and multiple times a year, and not being allowed to speak up or say anything about it. And as a fighter, you're just not supposed to show any weakness or talk about things like
Mm,
that, and or the inevitable neurological decline that comes with taking headshots. And a lot of people talk about it as if it's like making excuses or weakness or things like that, but I have a whole rest of my life
yeah.
to think about. And you don't never know when you take one hit too many until many decades later. But I don't think that I would be serving the sport or the division and in the right way if I stuck around too long. And I got to a point where I knew that I literally could not be taking those head impacts and continue to compete at that same level.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't do the sport any favor. It's a bad look, on women's MMA in general. And I am the representative of that sport. And if, you see that happen to a lot of fighters as they age, and it takes less and less and less to be able to hurt them
Mm-hmm.
and for them to get knocked out. And it's not just them losing matches. Those are, their brain getting injured that is going to hurt them later on in their life. And they end up getting punch drunk or slurring or in wheelchairs and all of this stuff. And nobody talks about it. It's fine, but I wanted to move on to another, realm that also had a lot of stigma with like concussions and neurological injury. And because I wanted to be able to move on to do something else, it also forced my silence on the subject
Mm.
until I was done with that. And then finally, when I was able to put all that behind me, I can, open up about it, which, I wish that more people would, because, the longevity of our fighters is at stake. And I want, all of these fighters to be able to get old and gracefully and be able to hold their grandkids and stuff like that, and not to be another one of those cautionary tales.
Yeah, on the especially as it pertains like to the mental health end, it's been so nice for me to see so many more fighters start to sort of open up and share because, like you said, there's so many. The athletes take on so much that they either feel like they can't or shouldn't sort of share with the public. And I'm glad to see that sort of shifting. Last thing I promise on the UFC career before we move on, and I want to get back to the book as well. I saw a headline from Dana White recently who was so complimentary of you, and he said, I've never worked with an athlete as great as Ronda Rousey. And in his estimation, part of the challenge you face towards the end is that on top of being an elite athlete, training and competing, you were taking on so many responsibilities at a time that was growing both your brand and the UFC's to just, I mean, in my opinion, the hottest it had ever been. Do you think at that time you were juggling too much, that your athletic career suffered a bit because you were doing so much to elevate women's MMA and the entire sport?
I mean, I had to be everything to everyone. I
Mm,
had to promote as hard as I trained. And because I did that, that's why we got as far as we are today. And I didn't just make it about me and my performances and picking and choosing my fights, but when it would work the best for me, and that's why we were so successful. That's why the sport had never been hotter. And it was because of that work. And I promised Dana that that's what that I would do if he believed in me and he, invested in me and brought me into the company. And I felt like if I did anything less, that would have made me a liar.
mhm. Thank you so much for sharing, by the way. I know this kind of comes to the territory, but it is really nice to get this sort of insight. Hey, who should your daughter's future prom date be more afraid of, you or Travis Browne?
Oh, they should be afraid of her.
She's throwing out your shoulder now.
Oh man, yeah. She's I think she's the one that they need to look out for the most, but we'll see. I know the brothers are pretty scary too.
Yeah. This is what you get. You go through the hard questions. I try and reward you with my goofy sense of humor. At the very least, it's the least I can
Thank
do.
you.
Um, in both when speaking both about this upcoming graphic novel Expecting the Unexpected as well as the memoir, I saw you tag Paul Heyman and sort of the push he gave you to sort of explore these avenues. He's just coming off an episode of SmackDown. I mean, poor guy got put through a table, and people are just praising how he's been the glue of this wider storyline in which he actually plays a secondary character. And Paul has been praised through most of his career, but I'm wondering, both as a performer and as a friend, what is Paul Heyman's legacy in your opinion?
Oh God. I mean, I feel like he's the absolute like backbone of that entire industry that people don't see the backbone. It is hidden underneath the body, but he is literally everyone's mentor. And every successful storyline has its, roots back into him. And I think that the industry would be like a shell of itself without him, and they should feel so lucky to have his time, because he could be spending that genius on anything else, but he spends 100% of his time and energy on the WWE. And he is the person that encouraged me creatively, that really believe that I am so much more than just what my body can do, and really encouraged me to write and create. And he's the person that told me that you need to go and write your own story. And no one really saw me in that light before, or had that kind of belief in me, and I didn't even have
Mm.
that kind of belief in myself. And then I wrote the log line, and then after shattering my knuckle, going to surgery, jumping straight into a plane, doing Steve Colbert to promote Mortal Kombat 11, and finally laying in a bed for the first time in 48 hours, I sat and I typed in a cast on the notes on my phone for 11 hours straight to write the first draft of this. And it was something that was sitting inside of me, and Paul Heyman was the only one that saw it. And 5 years later, I've learned so much and put in so much work and so much love into this, and it's finally seeing the light of day. And it's not something that I'm doing to impress anybody. And I've finally gotten away from that part of my life of like, you know what, I'm retired, I'm gonna do whatever I feel like. And
Yes,
I feel like
yes.
writing a graphic novel, and here it is. And it doesn't really matter, I guess. Like, if people take it one way or the other, it's like a compulsion. I had to tell this story, and I had to write it, and I hope it finds someone, even just one person, that needed to read it just as much as I needed to write it.
Um, One, as someone who's written like just a short story for fun on a phone on the notes pad, one, that's so impressive that you had an 11-hour session, and two, you're a total masochist. There are way more efficient ways to write.
I
But
know, but I was, I was at a hotel room. I didn't have a laptop or anything, and in a car and a plane. And I have a tendency to like fixate on things for
I
like
feel that.
hours on end. It's why I can like stand out a bag and like obsess over how am I going to make this one punch perfect, or do the same armbar 19,000 million times of how I can do this better. And I just have a tendency to fixate on a certain one task, and I can't get off of it. And now I've been able to harness it in a way that's enjoyable and not like beating
Totally.
my body to smithereens.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, Rhonda. It's
Thank
overdue
you.
and well deserved. I want to finish on some rapid fire. So, last sort of a career item off before we can just get to know you a little bit better. And we don't have to dive deep into this one, but I am curious. You had some sort of scathing takes on your time in the WWE. I am curious, now that they're under a new regime, you have worked with Paul Levesque before. Do you think that the WWE can trend in a better direction for its athletes under the current regime that it has with Nick Khan and Paul Levesque?
Well, I think anyone's better than Vince McMahon. The only place you can go is up. And I really enjoy, Triple H and working with him. And honestly, I haven't been watching, but I saw something from Natty saying that they had a card recently that had just as many women on it as the men.
Mm,
And that's just really what I would really like to see is the women equally represented, as with not just, matches on the card, but time on the show. And so, I feel like there's no place
no
that
worries.
could go but up. And I'm really, really happy for all the women that are still there, and thriving under the new regime. I think there's yeah.
All right, let's finish this on the rapid fire. First, we have the Netflix biopics coming up as well. In a perfect world, who would play Ronda Rousey?
Oh God.
You
I
can,
mean,
you can give a few too if you don't have to.
I have
It's up
no
to you.
idea. I mean, I don't want to throw anything out
Okay.
there too, because I'm actually part of
It's too
casting.
real. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
I knew that
I
I
don't
knew
want to
that
give any
question
names
might
out.
need to be like carefully addressed, so we can move on
Yeah,
from
I'm
that. I
not allowed to
understand.
talk on the
Okay.
subject right now.
That's what would Travis say is your most annoying habit, and vice versa? What would you say is his most annoying habit?
Oh God, he would say that he is just so blessed to be around all of the things that he feel is no, I'm saying I feel like what he thinks is most annoying is if I leave things in walkways, like shoes or something, because he's like a heavyweight.
Hmm.
So his ankles are, like he can roll his ankles really easily. So yeah, I'll like randomly leave shoes where I'm standing, or if he's like trying to go to the bathroom at night, he'll like trip over my shoes or something. Usually I hear him like, oh, God damn it, in the middle of the night. I'm like, sorry, babe. Like, I'll hear like a shoe like fly across the room, but he loves it.
Oh, that's fair. I'm gonna give him a layup here. What's the ultimate date night for Ronda Rousey?
Ultimate date like for me.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Like you
for
come
like
in, you're
you.
having a terrible day. What can you do to just completely turn it around?
Oh God, all of my days are fantastic.
Mm,
Because I'm with him, so I
that's
can't
nice to
really
hear. Oh,
say.
okay.
But what would be a great date night? No, I just love like living life with him. There's no, I guess if we were like in Hawaii or something and we just get to like, I don't know, camp out on the beach somewhere and have a couple of our, I guess if it's a date, we can't have our friends out there, but I don't know, like have like a barbecue on the beach and like, hang out and, you know, do mommy daddy time things.
Uh, okay, fair, fair. I'm glad to see that the marriage is still thriving in every aspect.
Oh, it's fantastic. Let me tell you.
Good. I know they say that we love all our children equally, but be honest with me, who's the best animal on the farm?
Best animal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which one's your favorite?
oh, my favorite of all the animals. I mean, ooh, favorite to like interact with or favorite, I think they're the coolest.
Just, I'm like, I want the specific like cow or whatever. Whoever brightens your day the most.
Okay. Um, well, my favorite animal ever, I ate him. Poor dog.
Rhonda,
My
no.
baby, my child is
Oh.
made out of porter.
Oh.
And yeah, he was
Well, okay, okay.
but
What did you make him
current
into?
oh God, he had the best New Yorks of any animal ever. I will say. I will say, oh my God, Porter, thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you. I was eating Porter when I was exclusively breastfeeding my baby. So she was literally made from him. But yeah, he was my favorite.
Okay.
I miss Porter.
All right. I almost just want to end on that one, but that's so funny, Rhonda.
BrownsAcres.com, everybody. If you want to get some Wagyu, that's that. I mean, you won't be able to get Porter.
No.
He's gone.
Second
We
best.
not only is he dead, but he has been completely
You can see.
eaten
Well,
by
I'm
my
glad he didn't go to
family.
waste.
No, not
Um,
a single thing, not at all. Yeah, she learned to crawl on his run. I mean, we didn't let anything go to waste.
this is my
R.I.P.
favorite
Porter, I
interview
love
ever,
you.
Rhonda. Last one. Ahead of expecting the unexpected, the biopic that's coming out. What's one bucket list? What's one creative endeavor that you still want to check off that bucket list?
Oh God. I guess I would want to star in something that I wrote. That would be my bucket list. I think being able to like act out your own words instead of somebody else's would be quite the experience. I had so much fun like filming scenes from expecting just to send to the artist for like tone and stuff like that, and to like actually write a screenplay and then like get it produced and perform in it. That would be incredible, and choreograph it because it's got to have fighting. That would be the dream.
Yes. No one works quite as hard retired as you do, Rhonda, and I'm
That's
happy
what
to.
my mom said. She's like, "You're not retired." I'm like, "Mom, I'm retired. I just have a good time. I just whatever. I just keep sometimes like I just find work having a good time. That doesn't count." She's like, "You're not retired." I'm like, "I am. I
Uh,
am."
Rhonda, I want to leave you with the last word. So very quickly on my end, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Subscribe, tap the bell, thumbs up. Full feature with Ronda Rousey, cbssports.com. Rhonda, if there's anything you want to tell the people, whether it's expecting the unexpected or any of the other great things you have working, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can't really say the link, but the link in my bio on
We'll put it in the
Instagram, you
description
can
too.
put put it the link in the description. You can sign up for notifications so you'll be the first to know when our Kickstarter kicks off. And yeah, I'd appreciate everybody who believes and supports this endeavor. And then if this ends up being like, a big, incredible, awesome thing, then you will have a super valuable book. That was my first ever book. That was the Kickstarter that nobody else has. So think of it as an investment in your future. Like, when have I ever let you down?